if the food raising your blood sugar the fastest is not candy, not cake, and not even soda? What if it is sitting on your breakfast plate right now, looking normal, harmless, even healthy? Every day, millions of people avoid sugar, skip dessert, eat smaller meals, and still wake up with high blood sugar. So the real question is, what are they missing? In this video, you'll discover the best foods that can help lower blood sugar faster by slowing dangerous spikes, keeping your energy steady, and helping your body handle glucose in a smarter way. You'll learn why some healthy-looking foods can still raise blood sugar quickly, which foods doctors often recommend for better control, and how simple meal combinations can make a big difference without starving yourself or giving up everything you enjoy. But stay with me, because later in this video I'll reveal one simple eating habit that can change how your body responds to the same exact meal. It is not an expensive supplement. It is not a strange diet trick, and it does not require you to stop eating all carbohydrates. In fact, two people can eat the same foods, but if one person eats them in the wrong order, their blood sugar may rise much faster. That small detail could completely change the way you look at your next meal. Imagine waking up in the morning, walking slowly to the kitchen, and checking your blood sugar. You wait for the number to appear, and then your heart sinks. It is high again. You think back to yesterday. You skipped dessert. You avoided soda. You even ate less than usual. So why is your blood sugar still not improving? That is the frustrating reality for so many people. They are trying hard, but no one has explained the hidden part of blood sugar control. It is not just about eating less sugar. It is about how fast your food turns into sugar inside your body. And once you understand that, your plate starts to look completely different. Before we go deeper, I want you to answer this honestly in the comments. When you think of high blood sugar, what food comes to your mind first? Sugar, bread, rice, juice, or cereal? Make your guess now, because later in this video, you may realize the real problem is not always the sweetest food on the plate. And if you know someone who avoids sugar but still struggles with high blood sugar readings, share this video with them. Because what we are about to uncover could completely change the way they look at breakfast, snacks, and everyday meals. Across America, more than 40 million people are living with diabetes, and more than 115 million adults have prediabetes. That means this is not a rare problem. This is happening at kitchen tables, inside grocery stores, during family dinners, and in quiet moments when someone looks at their glucose meter and wonders, "What am I doing wrong?" But here is the hopeful truth. Better blood sugar control does not begin with fear. It begins with understanding. A doctor will often explain it like this: food is not just food. Food is information. Every bite sends instructions to your body. Some foods tell your blood sugar to rise quickly. Other foods slow the process down. Some meals create a sudden wave. Other meals create a steady stream. Now imagine two breakfasts. The first breakfast looks simple: white toast, jam, orange juice, and sweetened cereal. It may not look like a huge meal, but inside the body it can act very quickly. The juice enters fast, the cereal breaks down fast, the toast becomes glucose quickly, the body is suddenly asked to handle a rush. Now imagine another breakfast: eggs with spinach, a few berries, plain Greek yogurt, or oats with chia seeds. This meal behaves differently. It contains protein, it contains fiber, it has foods that take longer to digest. Instead of a sudden glucose wave, the body receives a slower release. That is the first major lesson. Lowering blood sugar fast is not about a miracle food. It is about slowing the spike. The CDC explains that carbohydrates raise blood sugar, but how fast they raise it depends on what the food is and what you eat with it. When carbs are eaten with protein, fat, or fiber, blood sugar rises more slowly. This one idea can change the way you look at every meal, because the goal is not to panic after blood sugar rises. The goal is to build meals that prevent the sharp rise from happening in the first place. And that is where the first powerful food group enters: non-starchy vegetables. Broccoli, spinach, cauliflower, cabbage, cucumber, zucchini, bell peppers, green beans, lettuce, and mushrooms may not look dramatic. They do not come with flashy promises, but they are some of the most important foods for blood sugar control. Why? Because they bring volume without a heavy carbohydrate load. They fill the stomach. They add fiber, they slow the meal down, they help you feel like you are eating enough without flooding your bloodstream with glucose. Now, before I reveal the first food group, take a quick guess. Which one do you think helps slow blood sugar spikes more? A small salad before the meal, or skipping the meal completely? Most people think skipping food is the fastest answer. But in just a moment, you'll see why adding the right food first can sometimes be more powerful than simply eating less. This is why the American Diabetes Association's plate method starts with a simple rule: fill half the plate with non-starchy vegetables. That visual matters. Half the plate. Not a tiny garnish, not one lettuce leaf beside a pile of rice. Half the plate. For someone struggling with blood sugar, this can be a turning point. Instead of asking, "What must I remove?" start asking, "What can I add first?" Add vegetables before rice, add salad before bread, add spinach to eggs, add cauliflower beside chicken, add cucumber and cabbage beside lentils, add green beans before potatoes. This does not feel like punishment. It feels like strategy. A person who once felt trapped by food begins to see a new path. The plate is no longer an enemy. The plate becomes a tool, and emotionally, that matters, because many people with high blood sugar carry silent guilt. They think they failed. They think their body betrayed them. But often they were never taught how meals actually work. They were told, eat less sugar, but not taught how bread, juice, cereal, rice, and potatoes can affect glucose. They were told, lose weight, but not taught how protein and fiber can steady hunger. They were told, be careful, but not shown what a safer plate looks like. So here is the first practical takeaway. Before your next meal, do not try to become perfect. Just start with vegetables. Let the vegetables lead. Let them take space. Let them slow the meal. Because sometimes the fastest way to lower blood sugar is not a dramatic change. Sometimes it is simply changing what touches the plate first. But vegetables alone are not the whole story. Because once fiber begins protecting the body, the next step is adding something stronger, a food group that helps control hunger, supports muscle, and makes carbohydrates behave more slowly. Before we continue, let me ask you something. Have you ever eaten a meal that looked small, but 1 or 2 hours later, you felt tired, hungry, or shaky again? Comment yes if that has happened to you, because this is one of the biggest signs that your meal may not be balanced enough for steady blood sugar. And the reason is not always lack of willpower. Sometimes the real problem is that the meal has too many fast carbohydrates and not enough protein, fiber, or healthy fat to slow everything down. If vegetables are the first shield against blood sugar spikes, protein is the anchor. Without protein, many meals become unstable. They digest quickly, they leave you hungry sooner, they make snacking more likely, and when snacks are sweet, processed, or refined, the blood sugar roller coaster begins again. A doctor might explain it this way: carbohydrates are like fast-moving fuel. Protein is like a brake. It helps slow digestion and gives the body something steady to work with. This is why meals built only around bread, rice, cereal, noodles, or sweet drinks often leave people tired later. The body gets energy, but it gets it too quickly. The glucose rises, insulin responds, and then energy can fall. That fall is where cravings begin. Now think about a different plate. Grilled fish with vegetables, eggs with spinach, chicken with salad, and a small portion of beans, tofu with cabbage, Greek yogurt with berries and chia seeds. These meals feel different because they are built differently. Protein at breakfast is especially important. Many people start the day with a high-carb meal and then wonder why they feel hungry again by mid-morning. But when breakfast includes eggs, yogurt, cottage cheese, tofu, or another protein source, the body receives a steadier message. The goal is simple. Do not let carbohydrates enter the meal alone. If you eat fruit, pair it with yogurt or nuts. If you eat oats, add chia seeds or Greek yogurt. If you eat rice, pair it with vegetables and fish. If you eat bread, pair it with eggs or avocado instead of jam alone. This is not about fearing carbohydrates. It is about controlling their speed. And one of the most powerful foods for this is beans and lentils. Beans and lentils are humble foods, but they are deeply effective. Black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans, split peas, and lentils contain fiber and plant-based protein. That combination helps them digest more slowly than many refined carbs. For someone trying to lower blood sugar, this matters because beans and lentils can replace foods that cause sharper rises. Instead of a plate full of white rice, you might choose lentil soup. Instead of chips, you might add chickpeas to a salad. Instead of a meal built around bread, you might build it around beans, vegetables, and lean protein. These are not expensive health foods. They are simple, traditional, real foods. And that is one of the most important truths in nutrition. The body often responds best to simple foods that have been eaten for generations. The next helpful food group is whole grains, but with a warning. Not all grains behave the same way. Plain oats are not the same as sugary instant oatmeal. Whole grain bread is not the same as white bread. Barley or quinoa is not the same as a sweet pastry. The name carb does not tell the whole story. What matters is fiber, processing, portion size, and what you eat with it. The CDC notes that complex carbohydrates such as legumes and whole grains can raise blood sugar more slowly because they contain fiber and starches that take longer to digest. That means some carbs can fit into a blood sugar-friendly lifestyle when chosen carefully. But the portion must be honest. A small serving of oats with chia seeds and berries may support steadier energy. A large bowl of sweetened cereal may do the opposite. A small portion of brown rice beside vegetables and fish may work for some people. A huge plate of rice alone can be a problem. This is where blood sugar control becomes personal. Some people respond strongly to certain foods, others tolerate them better. That is why checking blood sugar as advised by a healthcare provider can teach you how your own body reacts. But there is a simple rule almost everyone can understand. Choose carbs that come with fiber and avoid carbs that come with added sugar. This brings us to fruit. Fruit is often misunderstood. Some people think fruit is always safe because it is natural. Others think they must avoid fruit completely because it contains sugar. The truth is more balanced. Whole fruit contains fiber, water, vitamins, and structure. Fruit juice removes much of that structure and makes it easy to drink the sugar of several fruits in a few seconds. Eating an orange is not the same as drinking a large glass of orange juice. A whole apple is not the same as apple juice. Berries with Greek yogurt are not the same as a sugary fruit drink. Now I want you to make another quick prediction. Which one do you think raises blood sugar faster, eating one whole orange or drinking a glass of orange juice? Hold that answer in your mind, because this simple comparison explains why some healthy choices can still push blood sugar up quickly. And this is the part many people never get taught. Natural does not always mean slow. Healthy looking does not always mean blood sugar friendly. So the better choice is whole fruit in reasonable portions, especially fruits like berries, apples, pears, peaches, and oranges. And again, pairing matters. Fruit with protein or healthy fat is usually more stable than fruit alone. Now add another layer, nuts and seeds. Almonds, walnuts, pistachios, chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, and small portions of avocado or olive oil can help with fullness. They provide healthy fats and fiber. They make a meal feel satisfying, but there is a caution. More is not always better. A small handful of nuts can help. A large bowl eaten without thinking can add too many calories. Blood sugar control is not about eating unlimited healthy foods. It is about building balance. And balance is exactly what many people have been missing. They try to eat less, but they feel hungry. They try to avoid sugar, but they still eat refined carbs. They skip meals, then overeat later. They blame willpower when the real issue is meal design. So here is the second practical takeaway. Every meal should have a stabilizer: vegetables for fiber, protein for steadiness, beans or lentils for slow energy, whole fruit instead of juice, nuts or seeds in small portions for fullness. When these foods work together, the plate becomes stronger. But there is still one more secret many people never hear. Sometimes the order of eating can change the way a meal affects blood sugar. Now, this is where everything starts to connect. You've learned that protein, fiber, beans, lentils, whole grains, fruit, nuts, and seeds can all help support better blood sugar control. But stay with me, because the most important insight is still coming. In part 3, I'll reveal a simple eating habit that can change how your body responds to the same exact meal. Same food, same plate, different result. And once you understand this, you may never look at rice, bread, fruit, or breakfast the same way again. Two people sit down to the same dinner. On the plate, there are vegetables, chicken, and rice. The first person starts with the rice, a few big bites. Fast, familiar, comforting. Then some chicken. Then a little vegetable at the end. The second person starts with the vegetables. Slowly, then the chicken, then the rice last. Same food, same plate, same kitchen. But inside the body, the response may not be exactly the same. That is because fiber and protein can slow the way carbohydrates enter the bloodstream. When the meal begins with vegetables and protein, the stomach is not receiving fast starch alone. It is receiving a slower, more balanced signal. This is not magic, it is physiology, and it gives people something powerful: control without fear. Because many people hear blood sugar diet and imagine restriction. No bread, no rice, no fruit, no joy, no family meals, no normal life. But a better approach is not always about removing everything. Sometimes it is about changing the structure. Eat vegetables first, eat protein next, eat carbohydrates last. Drink water instead of sugary drinks. Stop before the plate becomes too heavy. This one habit can make meals feel less overwhelming. Now let us bring the full story together. If a person wants to lower blood sugar fast in a safe, realistic way, the goal is to reduce sharp spikes after meals. That means choosing foods that slow digestion, support fullness, and reduce the glucose rush. The best foods are not mysterious. Non-starchy vegetables: spinach, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, cucumbers, peppers, zucchini, green beans, mushrooms, lean proteins, eggs, fish, chicken, turkey, tofu, plain Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, beans, lentils, high-fiber carbohydrates, oats, barley, quinoa, beans, lentils, sweet potatoes in controlled portions, and whole fruit. Healthy fats and seeds: chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, almonds, pistachios, avocado, olive oil. Better fruit choices: berries, apples, pears, peaches, oranges, whole, not juiced. And the foods to reduce are just as important: sugary drinks, fruit juice, white bread, sweet cereal, pastries, candy, large portions of white rice, and heavily processed snacks. But here is where the emotional side matters. Most people do not struggle with blood sugar because they do not care. They struggle because modern food is designed to be fast, cheap, sweet, and easy to overeat. It is everywhere. It is at gas stations, offices, family parties, late-night kitchens, and even inside foods labeled as healthy. So the answer is not shame. The answer is awareness. A person checking their blood sugar in the morning does not need judgment. They need a plan. They need simple meals that make sense. They need to know that every better plate is a step toward protection. Protection of energy, protection of eyesight, protection of nerves, protection of kidneys, protection of heart health, protection of walking, balance, independence, and confidence. Because blood sugar is not only about today's reading, it is about the future body you are building with every meal. A doctor may prescribe medicine when needed, and medicine can be important. No one should stop or change